Hi everybody, welcome to PT Launch Lab. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Callum.
And between us, we've got over 20 years of experience in the fitness industry.
So, here's the lowdown of what the aim of this PT podcast is going to be. So, initially, this is just for the community, but obviously, we want to talk to everybody. This is a place where we want to share our history in the PT industry, also talk to other people, and basically try and give you more tools in your tool belt to go into the industry, create the brand that you want, and just make it an income, and also make it fun, because both of us know how hard it is to start a business, not just in the fitness industry, but in general.
Yeah, it's quite a weird one really, because we're starting this almost as like a new business, whereas people are going to be on the same part of their journey. So as we're starting this podcast and trying to make it grow, other people will be growing their PT clients as well. So it'd be good to see putting our principles in and how we're gonna approach to grow this the same as we would a PT class. I think that's going to be.
I think one of the most important things that people need to know, we are not coming across to you as the most successful PTs. Right? The reason why we create this entire thing is because we want to give people the opportunities that we didn't have. We're still on our growth path, right? But we want to help people get from A to start moving through the alphabet and start making some successes, because to get people off the ground, yes, we could give you a certificate after you pass and go, there you go into the world, but you've got no actual practical knowledge to be able to go, right, this is my action plan, let's go.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get people on, can get guests on as well, and other PTs, starting localized and then building out and seeing how they did it, because I believe every PT will have a completely different story, and I think that is the community. That's what this is. This trying to create something that all of a sudden you've got a whole list of PTs who have all got a different blueprint, and they've all got a different approach, and how it worked for them and how fast it scaled for them. And I think each person that comes on or speaks might be more in line with your plan, or that might be, oh yeah, that sounds more interesting to me, or that one sounds more practical to me, or I can use that method a lot better in my niche or whatever like that. So I think the more it grows, I think the more stories your success stories you'll get, and I believe that it'll just keep helping people, and hopefully people who are watching might actually be here joining us.
Absolutely. And the main thing to take away from this course is we built this course based on several modules that we think are really important. And there are going to be some modules that might not speak to you, that might not fit in your plan. But the idea is you're going to be able to take stuff away from this that you can apply to you and your business. Because like you just said, every PT is going to be different. And this is why you need in the fitness industry. We don't want everybody doing the exact same thing. And like the way that the courses are taught and the content that's in the course, especially from the bigger awarding bodies, a lot of people are like, you've got to do this, you've got to make sure of this, but it's not how reality works. You're going to get so many different types of clients, so many different types of problems. And the idea is you want to work with who you want to work with. And that's the main thing why we're doing this entire course, because we want to help you find your passion.
And also, what aftercare do you really get after PT? Well,
None. I remember when I passed, I just literally got a thumbs up, and I didn't receive my actual certificate until the following year.
Yeah. So like you get your certificate after like 6 months. So I think again, it's the aftercare, which is great, or people who've already done the course. Everyone listening to this is going to be in a completely different part journey, different time scale. Some people might be just thinking about getting on the course and be quite interested to see what's involved. People who might be during the course, who either have us as the instructors already, or are you already a PT and just want a little bit of advice, or are you further into your PT journey and you actually you need something that's going to get you over the line for them couple more PTs. But I think any advice is good advice from people who've done well or had the years around it.
Absolutely. And we built this all around wanting to make sure that you got support necessary. So by this point, you might be already in the Facebook community group. If you haven't followed us on Instagram yet, social media, please do. please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel because we're going to upload more podcasts as it goes on, and we want to have a bigger voice in the industry as well. And the main thing I wanted to cover today is, what do you think you're going to get out of this course? So if you're paying £500 for a course, you're expecting the world to fall at your feet. The reality is, we think of this a lot like a Tony Robbins book. If Tony Robbins released a book saying, this is your guide to being a millionaire, how many people do you think is going to be a millionaire?
Yeah.
The idea is, we're going to give you all the tools necessary, but it's up to you to build this into an actual plan and get used to failing, because you are going to fail before you start winning. But you need to accept that is part of life as well, because even now, we're still working really hard to get those wins. And we've been doing this for quite a few years now. You've been doing it way longer than me, and you know more than anybody how hard it is to just maintain as well as scaling.
And that's the thing as well. It's peaks and troughs. It's not always just going up, 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 up. Especially when you start. What I found at the beginning is let's say I get 3 clients, right? And then a week later, I lose one. Oh, I've got 2 again, right? Then I get one, and then I lose a couple. Or there's so much stress in the early days from going on holiday or anything like that as well, or Christmas comes around, you've just got a new client, they're not quite got into the routine, they haven't picked up that consistency or built any new healthy habits in the gym, and then all of a sudden, it's maybe not what they want to do, or they go on holiday, and it's such a battle at the beginning. And again, that's things that we want to cover. Is it's so normal? It's normal to have the highs and the lows as well. And some of the businesses as well, I call them, it's like impact. It's like an impact at the beginning. So if you open your own gym thing, you'll get loads of interest. You're doing your videos, and everyone wants to talk about it. But then all of a sudden, after a couple more months, someone else brings one around the corner, and it's like, how are you going to react to that, and how are you going to keep progressing? And that's the thing. We can't just keep thinking that it's going to keep scaling upwards. There's going to be times when it peaks off. There might be times when it dips. It's about what we can do then to keep it going. Because once it's there, it doesn't mean it's finished. And that's the main thing with PTs. You can't get complacent with it. You can't get lazy. You can't stop swapping appointments all the time. Um, it does. It's a luxury. At the end of the day, PT is a luxury, and people will only pay it where the money seems worth it.
Yeah, it's a privilege. And the thing is, you're entering a very saturated market. That's the reality. There are hundreds of thousands of PT in the UK alone, hundreds of thousands of online coaches. And the idea is, you've got to come in and think, well, how can I do it my way? Because, yeah, you could copy other PTs, coaches. You could find someone in this group that's doing a certain thing that's working for them. It might bring some short-term success. The people that stay in the game and do well is people who enjoy it, work with the people who want to work, and build a brand and a voice of themselves that people actually want to work with. You're a real person. And the biggest advice we can give to everyone who start this is, approach this as a real person. You want to work with real people who want real results. And over time, it will grow. But you've got to stay the course. Don't start buying followers for Instagram. Don't start investing money in all these huge amounts of templates or all these chatbots, stuff like that. Start simple, do what you love, and look at some of the points in the course and use some of the case studies that we've got in there. You will start seeing results. But when you start the course, I think this is the most important one. Don't wait until you finish the course to start doing these things. The most best thing I could ever tell anyone, and I believe learned in recent years, is do the thing first and then you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to do it first. You've got to find some failures. You've got to find some pockets where you need to improve, because otherwise you'll get to the end of this and you still won't have made any ground whatsoever, and you're always beginning to start. So don't wait. Start doing things. Start making mistakes, because the mistakes will make you a better trainer, better online coach, and a better business person.
I believe when you start as well, especially if you're doing it online, make it as personal as you can. You're gonna have to put time in that's not paid. All right. I still do this to this day. There's a lot of unseen hours unpaid hours, and you're just gonna have to get used to that. To build something up at the beginning, you have to put time in when other people aren't gonna. So it is about the consistency over time, whether you're doing content in the gym, filming and doing some training. As Callum just said, people want to see you doing it first. They want to see you put it into practice first before you get your qualification. You're already known as the person who's into fitness, who's got a passion for fitness. You don't want to be the person that starts and says qualified PT now, book in if you when no one knows who you are.
Well,
You can't just want to be a PT and then just start training yourself. There's got to be something there. The people have got to see you doing it. People have got to see like seeing what you're doing to then want to jump on board.
mm. What would you say to someone who's starting this course who already feels like they're out of the depth? What would you advise Peter?
I think anybody anybody can do it. It's how they approach it. I think the small circle of friends and family would be my absolute go-to. It might be intimidating at the beginning approaching people or from Facebook. There's always going to be that nerves, especially if you're doubting yourself. And that's going to show in your session as well. So you need the practice runs.
Mm. That's it.
Plan the sessions ahead. As you get more into PT, and there's not always as much time for planning, but you need to make time. That'll make the session run smoother and it'll take that stress off. Just hoping that the session's going to go right. Make sure beforehand that you know about any injuries or anything like that, because the last thing you want to do is build a leg session and then they walk through the door and tell you they've got a knee injury. And then all of a sudden I'm stuck, I'm on my toes and, oh, well, what am I supposed to do now? I've got to react on the spot. And if I haven't got that experience, I'm really going to start panicking and that's going to show. So the session's going to go to pot. So I would say be prepared, be confident. Half the battle is the confidence in how you provide the information. If I'm showing you, I need to be loud, clear, constructive. I don't want to try not. You might be nervous, but try not to act nervous.
No.
That'd be that'd be my main thing. Would make sure you're prepared.
So I think best thing to talk about today, which is one of the most interesting stories, is your story. Because, just so everyone knows, at one point I was Ryan's client. Yeah.
Plenty of time.
Yeah. We're just gonna let Ryan talk for about 2 hours. But yeah, at one point I was Ryan's client. How long you been in the game now, really?
So I was actually working in Nautilus Gym in Pontefract. It's not a gym anymore. I was working in there from being 15 years old and now 32. I was working in there literally at the bottom of the barrel. I was cleaning toilets and jet washing down saunas and showers and stuff like that. And then I moved to being self-employed at 17 years old. So I worked at Exercise for Less for 3 years, and then I moved to fitness base. The opportunity there was that I'd get paid as a fitness instructor, but then I could still do clients, so I wouldn't need to pay rent. So obviously, at a time, the PT is difficult at the beginning, always is. That seemed like the best step for me. And then once from there, I created the Ultimate Shred, which we'll go into more detail about. I've had that business now for 10 years, which has then stemmed to this business and many others. But yeah, I've been around it a long time. It's going on, I think it's 17 years.
17 years old.
Oh,
Wow. Yeah.
so let me do the maths on that because I'm not the best at maths. So 15 to 32.
Isn't it ironic how you're not the best at maths and all we do is count reps all day?
So yeah, so that's it. Yeah, so yes, plenty of years anyway. Self-employed from 17. Been working in the industry since I was 15. So literally over half my life has been working in the gym. I started training you at Fitness Space.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, you found loving it throughout the sessions and moving on. But how did it come to fruition for you?
So it was just as you opened your new gym. So when you were at the A1 Football Factory, it was literally around the time. I came down there for a couple of sessions and I think lockdown hit. That was around the time you just got the gym, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So during lockdown, I think it happened for a lot of people. It were either a make or break thing. I was working a job that I was just earning a wage, didn't enjoy it. And I sort of snapped. I actually applied to go in the Navy, went through all the training, the tests. I was due to go in 10 weeks. So in the meantime, I already got my PT qualification during COVID. I just thought, oh, I'll do something as pastime. I saw a job offer that you put on social media. So I'll go down, chat to you. And it was literally, remember the conversation, it was like, "I'm just coming down to do a bit of PT. Do you mind if I come in space?" Like, "Yeah, yeah, no worries." As soon as I stepped in, I don't know, a lot changed. I just found a passion and a love for it. I realised that I chose the wrong reasons to wanna go in the Navy. I think I just wanted something to be passionate about.
Some sense of purpose and direction.
And then during that time, obviously, we've grown into doing the courses. I met my partner. We had a baby. We're all from the gym, which is weird to say. But yeah, it all worked out in the end. And what people don't tell you is how hard it was doing it, even to the point where, especially starting with no clients. So you get your PT certificate and they're like, right, there you go. If you're starting out in a small space, 'cause I know you started out in a commercial space, you virtually have to get the clients.
Yeah, so we've talked about this off camera, and the two. So what I did, so my experience is completely different to what I've had to give advice on for like such as yourself, or like Mac and stuff like that. So there are people obviously who want to get on the pod in the near future as well, just to cover everyone's experience and the different paths that each person took. But in my gym, because I was young, it was super intimidating. Nobody took me serious. Obviously, I'm 17 years old. At this point, I look dead young as well. And there are people in there who worked since the gym actually opened, and they've been in there already 7 years.
Yeah.
And I still remember to this day because all the posted sections were took up, right? So they had none left. So they said, just got to put them anywhere you can. And I can remember sticking one like bottom of this cabinet, and one of the PTs had been here for hours and said, who's going to look at that? Do you know what I mean? Um, one of them, and I just thought I was just doing what I could, but um, it sort of did make sense what you were saying. But then I had to go then and try and approach people who were obviously going to be older than me, so they're not really giving any credibility. So when I look back, I didn't really know that much. Even it is definitely an industry that the more you do it, the better you get, the more experience you get, whether it's talking to the clients or the actual providing the session.
Mm.
So it would definitely difficult to get started. That's why for the first 3 years, I was definitely struggling, and hopefully through that experience of me not really having any help or any direction, I had a couple of PTs that I'd seen as like mentors down there. Andy Denny works a local area, but still doing my diary like how he showed me
Yeah.
how. Because the people who are most successful, I really took things from them and
Mm.
started trying to implement the habits that they did into my own business as well. So very difficult to get going. I was quite well known, like sort of social media, local areas. So, but my niche was the boxing. I was fighting from being 17. I was fighting MMA at the time, and that was the only thing that separated me from every other.
So were you doing that before you started PT?
No, so I actually got the first fight set up while I was working there. So I think my first ever client. I wasn't even a client, it was for an induction for a PT, and I took him. At this point, I had no ideas what proper warm-ups were and stuff like that, and I thought everyone needed beasting from the off, so the warm-up was like 5 minutes bike, and then it was straight down to the weights. I put him on a superset. He said, "I'm nipping to the toilet." Went to the toilet, I'm thinking, "Where is he?" I looked at us, no word of a lie, mate. He walked out of toilet, out of changing rooms with his suit on. So I was only uphill from there. The next one was my actual client. I got her in. She paid for 2 sessions up front, and she never turned up for him. So
What would you say?
rough start.
What would you say if for anyone in that experience then, what what did you do to get your first client? Was it just approaching them on the gym floor?
Yeah. So a lot of it's a weird one that I always feel like if I was in the gym, I wouldn't want to get approached by people. So you could have this argument back and forth. Obviously, the opportunity is there. If you want to go out and get them, then it's there. It's whether or not that's what people want. Is that what they want? So my best advice, looking back now, what I would do firstly, you don't need a niche. You just need to be whichever part you prefer, whichever way you train, wherever your passion is. I think you need to target that, stick with it, not try and be the man who can do everything. So I don't want to be this coach over this coach over this coach. Find the thing that's most interesting to you, the way you train, the thing that you're most passionate about.
Mm.
And then I'd start with a small circle of friends and family who are willing to come in. And people around don't need to know that. they're not paying you, but it's building the experience. You're trying and testing the techniques and the session plans that you want to do with them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that first is almost like a live testimony of them. So when they're seeing that, people see you providing that session, see the knowledge that you're putting into it, or for me, they're seeing pad combinations or boxing footwork drills.
Mm.
That was, oh, I want to do that. And then that's the approach. For me, that's the window, not so much approaching them on gym floor. A lot of people are they are set in the ways. They have got a routine. I do believe that everyone needs a PT. Like I still get PT now from other coaches and so on. You've got to really believe it to want to push it as well. And it's the sales pitch that you're providing that can also be crucial.
Yeah.
I used to have, honestly, I had it like it were almost like a script that I had, and I made it sound like they could not train without me. Same as if I did get chance. So most of my first clients were actually through inductions. So as you signed up as a member at Exercise for Less, that you had to do an induction. You had to do that. So as a member, you had to go and you had to do an induction with a PT for half an hour. Otherwise, you wasn't allowed to go in the gym. Obviously, go for all the safety regulations and things like that.
Mm.
Sign the forms with them.
So with that then, what would you say is the difference between working in commercial gym to a private gym? What's the benefits of working in a commercial gym? So if someone came from here and they wanted to go straight into like a pure gym, something like that. Is there anything negative about that? Or is there any positives to actually going out on your own first? What would
Right. I'd say commercial gym. Massive, massive positives, especially back then. There wasn't as much social media, so it's quite a different conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I think right now, big commercial gyms, a lot of people are doing things online,
Mm.
and there's so much out there. So I could go on TikTok or Instagram, and I can watch these influencers or whatever. They might not be the best in the industry, but it's someone that good at speaking, they're clear in direction. Um, they might be genuinely good coach. It might always not be the best advice, but it's something that I can follow, and I don't need to have that interaction with someone. A lot of people just want to keep the sense to themselves. They want to put their headphones on and just go in the gym and do their own thing. So the approaching method now, I think it's quite intimidating. But that being said, you've got the clientele's all around you,
Yeah, it's
which
they
is good. You know, you work for the gym. Again, I don't see it much anymore. There's fitness instructors that need to then give people inductions. A lot of people are mainly self-employed now, but for the ones that do get that opportunity, the clients are getting dropped on your footstep and on your doorstep, and that's for you to then turn into a client.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think, but again, that alone is a skill on its own.
Yeah.
Converting someone, so someone who's just walked in, like what separates you from everyone else and what makes you stand out? How can you open? My main bit of advice, which I did early on, to be honest, was be involved in that little time when you've got to train them. So whether it's a medicine ball sit up and I'm passing them the ball,
Mm.
right? How can you do that if I'm not there? How can so you can't pass it to yourself? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're creating ways where
Yeah.
the PT is actually relevant.
Yeah, exactly. So if I sit at the side of the machine and say, right, we're doing these, understandable for spotting, etc. But again, you'd make sure you're really over spotting.
Mm.
You're making sure you're counting on the negative, give different tempos. Something that they can't just say, oh, well, I'm just doing 3 sets of 10.
Mm.
Because that's what we'd all fall into naturally. That's what people do. Even if you've been training for so long, sometimes you fall into that trap yourself and you neglect different training methods. And I think that's what everyone does. So
Yeah.
I'd say the more involvement that you can do that makes them feel like you're a crucial part of that session and not something that someone who's spotting, someone who's deloading kit for drop sets, passing balls, etc., whether it's punching pads, giving them things to do that they're not going to be able to get on hand.
Mm. So yeah, you made a good point. I think for me, a lot of the idea around how best to support your clients, especially in the early days, is the biggest tool you could have is listen. I think clients tell you everything they want by just listening to them. You spend an hour a day with them, let's say 3 days a week. If you actually listen, they tell you everything. And when you just qualify and you just start, the worst thing you can do is try and sound like you know everything. Thing is, you've been training for however many years or how much experience you've got. You are already more of an expert than the people that you're working with. So making that clear, but teaching what you know, not just what you've seen on TikTok, Instagram, because you know the stuff that works, and it's actually really simplistic. You know, all these variations of doing a glute bridge with a band and then a band underneath the band and then a glute ball on top of it. Squats just do just as well, the simple exercises. So my biggest thing for everybody I say is if you know how to do that exercise well or that workout well, that's what you should teach. And especially if you're working with clients on a earlier basis, you can be realistic about that because you've done it yourself. You understand the mechanics and techniques and also just the requirements. But yeah, it's a lot of it is mainly just understanding that when you first start, you're not going to ideally know your niche straight away. It's more doing it and learning about it. Do the thing before you know how to do it. Everyone has this expert level. When you go into this game, you think, I don't know enough about PT to be a PT, even though I've done the qualification. Nobody does. Nobody knows enough about driving when they pass the test. The idea is you go out and you learn and you get better at it by doing it. So the biggest advice we can ever give is just start doing the thing and you will get better. And in the course, in the PT Launch Lab course, we talk about building your voice and your niche and stuff like that. But this is like a momentum builder. You're not going to be doing this in 4 weeks and then you've qualified, right, let's go. This is a lifetime thing. And ideally, if you're getting it to earn an income and be your main source of income and make it a job and a lifestyle, you need to work out those early steps.